Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary, coming to you with our very final wreath project. For the year of 2023. Is that enough singing? This is our wreath at the moment. It's only half done. Half done, I mean right up to July. Now we've got to do August to December. Now all of the projects have been complete except for December. And we're going to do December's today. All right. The reason I'm talking, which I haven't been talking throughout the year, is because it's our final project. And we are creating this gorgeous, are you ready for it? Angel. I hope you can see that gorgeously. But there you go. That's the little angel we are creating. And that little angel will go on right there, right there. Ta-da! On the actual line right there. All right? So it is, I don't know how crooked that is because I can't see from upside down. Oh, look, there's a bit of a mirror there. You can't see it. It's like I can see a mirror from a distance. So she is a little bit over. So there we go, right there. And so the rest of the projects will go there. They're all complete. Now, if you haven't started the wreath and you would like to do one, I have left a link to the whole playlist in the description box or the more box down below. It's the very first link you come to. Click on that link and start from the base and work your way all the way up to the top where the angel is today. So let's get started with today. First thing you'll need is some cotton. Now we're using Bendigo cotton. You can use any cotton you like. It is a 4-ply or a 2-weight or a lightweight cotton. So any 2-weight or lightweight cotton will work. If you use a thicker yarn, you can use wool and acrylic as well, by the way. But if you use a thicker yarn, that's going to be too big for the wreath. Just heads up there. If you've got an even thinner yarn, better. Even better, yeah? But otherwise, that's fine. And for the 4-ply yarn, I used a 2.5 millimeter hook. A 2.5 millimeter hook. However, for the purpose of today's tutorial, I'm making it in, the label is collapsed, this chunky yarn, just so that you guys can see it. Now this yarn is an older yarn from Bendigo Woolen Mills. They no longer stock that yarn. It used to be called the Stella range and it was called Rose Quartz. Now I loved that range and I'm so sad it's not around anymore. But anyway, that's a 12-ply or a chunky if you will. So if you want to use something like that, your angel's going to come out, pretty big. Just heads up there, all right? But in the meantime, that's what we're doing, and I'm going to be using a 5.5 millimeter hook with the chunky yarn. But for you guys, you will need a 4-ply or a 2-weight or a lightweight yarn with your 2.5 millimeter hook. You will also need a pair of scissors. You'll be cutting a couple of times, and 2 stitch markers. I would suggest using them. And you won't need your sewing needle today, but you will need it tomorrow when we attach all our the rest of our projects to our wreath. All right, I'm not going to talk too much now because it's all talked about it within the tutorial. Just know one thing, that if you are new to crochet, the little picots down below may be a little bit difficult for you. I have given you a simpler version of how to just do a single crochet, chain 3 and a single crochet instead of doing these little picots. But you know what? I say do them, take a risk. Try something new, yeah? All right, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started creating our gorgeous little angel, the December project for our 2023 wreath. Alrighty guys, as I mentioned in the promo, we're going to use the thicker yarn today, but grab the tail end of your yarn. We're going to start by making a magic loop. Try it again. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your fingers just once, and you're forming a little X like that, yeah? Pop your hook under the first loop and pull that back loop up and forward, yeah? You should have your 1 and 2 in front. Grab all of it like so, popping it in the other hand, and now you're going to make a chain 3, and a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once yarn over 2, yarn over 3. Now I'm going to leave it here. Normally we would put a stitch marker there, which we're going to, but we're going to do it after the next stitch because I find it moves when we do it on this stitch. So first we're going to make a double crochet in the loop we just made, yeah? Yarn over your hook like so, placing it in the loop that we just made, going over all thicknesses. Pull a loop through like so. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops left, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and that's a double crochet. You might want to close a tail a little bit, not too much because you're going to fit another 10 double crochets in there. So just give it a gentle tug just so you have enough space to put 10 double crochets. And while we're here, we are going to pop a stitch marker in that top chain. All right, so this is the stitch that we just created. Let me see if I can get it. There it is, right there for you. Yeah, we want to pop our stitch marker in the stitch just before the chain. So you're lifting up the loop in that front loop there and grabbing the back loop there. All right, and underneath you should have 1 loop. So there's the stitch before the chain. That's the chain, the top chain of the 3 that you did in the beginning. All right, if you don't want to put a stitch marker, that's okay. That's okay too. All right, so we are going to put 10 more double crochets in that space. Yarn over your hook in the space, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And again, that's your 3rd stitch altogether. This is your 4th, and I'll explain that in a minute. 2 and 2. The chain 3 acts as a double crochet in this round. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So yarn over your hook, 5, and continue this until you get 12. All right, and off we go. I'm going to pop this on fast. 6, 11 and 12. All right, now before we do anything, we're going to count these stitches and make sure there are 12. And we're counting these little V looking things that you see right here. So you've got your 1 in your stitch marker, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Make sure you have 12. If you don't have 12, just put 1 in or take 1 off, depending on how many you do have. So now you're going to grab that tail. This is why they call this the magic loop. We're going to give it a tug and there it is, presto, your center has disappeared. That's not the end of that tail, okay? We need to weave that in later, or we're going to use it to sew to the wreath. But when we sew that to the wreath, we are still going to weave it in once to keep that center closed. All right, so that's not the end of the tail, guys. Don't cut it there, it will come undone. All right, okay, and now we're doing the very next row. But before we do, we have to close up this round. I said row before, but I meant round. All right, so now what you're going to do is slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. Now, if you didn't put a stitch marker there, let me take that stitch marker out to show those who didn't put a stitch marker in. So you can actually, that's your double crochet stitch right there, and right next to it is a chain. You're not putting your yarn over, you're just popping your hook in that top chain, which is really tight. Pull a loop through like so and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Alrighty, I actually just stopped recording there because I started on my right side of the work. But what we need to do here is flip our work or turn your work, whichever suits you. Chain 3, yarn over your hook once, twice, and 3 times. And what you want to do here is place your stitch marker in that top chain once again. There, all right. And we are also going to make another chain, chain 4. That will act as a double crochet chain 1. Then in the same stitch that we are in which is right there. You can see it's really tight, yeah. We're going to put a double crochet, I should say, right in that stitch there. So initially what we have here is a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. And from here we chain 1, and then we're going to do that 5 times. Well, we're going to do this 5 times. We're going to go into the very next stitch with a double crochet, chain 1 and a double crochet, like so. Chain 1 into the next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in the same stitch. So you're doing that all the way across. We've done 3 already. Chain 1, we need to do another 3 more. So into the stitch with a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, that's 4 of them. We've got 5th one happening now, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1 again, and this is our final stitch. So into the very next stitch with a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. Don't chain 1 here, we're going to count them. All right, and what you should have, these are actually called V stitches, where you've got a double crochet, chain 1 in the same stitch. All right, so you should have 1 V stitch, chain 1, V, 1, V, 1, and so on. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so now what we're going to do is turn our work, yep, chain 1, 2, and 3, and pop your stitch marker in the 3rd stitch there. All right, from here we are going to do, this part is very easy, a double crochet in every space and a double crochet in every double crochet created from the previous round. So double crochet in your first space, yeah, double crochet in the stitch of the previous round, double into the very next space, and double into the stitch. Get way too excited. All right, so I'm going to pop this on fast, and we're going to continue to do that by putting a double crochet in every space and a double crochet in every stitch, or in every double crochet if you will. All right, and off we go. We are in the last double crochet there. We need to place 1 more double crochet in the space and 1 last double crochet in that last stitch. Now I say last because that's it for this section here. Well, that's it for your wings, if you will. All right, you're going to just pull a loop through, cut your piece. Well, I'm not going to cut mine because mine was cut from before when I made a little boo-boo. You didn't see it. I did that off air. All right. So bonus is that is your wings done. So there you go. If you look carefully at it, there's the little head and there's your wings. Cute, yeah? All right. So we finished our row here. So we're going to turn our work, but before we do, what I want you to do is just grab your stitch marker. You're going to count 9 stitches backwards. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Pop your stitch marker in that 9th stitch, turn your work, and we're going to start right here. Now we're going to go back to the original work that I was doing earlier. It may look like you're on the wrong side, but you are actually on the right side. I was on the wrong side. From now onwards, you see me on the wrong side, so don't worry too much about it. We flip at different sides. Just keep going in the pattern from here onwards. Wrong side, you're going to flip your work, and then you're going to put your hook in that stitch where you placed your stitch marker. And the reason I did it this way and not just count it across here is that sometimes it's easy to miss a stitch from here. So you can't see the stitches very well, the V's are on that side. So it's easier to count that way, pop your stitch marker in and then turn your work around. I hope that made sense. Grab your thread, and you can use the same thread or change thread, whatever you want to use for your angel is up to you. Pull a loop through like so, just grab the tail. We're going to lock it into place, but we are going to put it back the other way later. Now I've left a really long tail because we're going to use these tails to sew to our wreath. All right, so just grab the tail, chain 3, yarn over your hook 1, you know this part, 2 and 3. You're going to pop your stitch marker in this stitch right here. And again, we're going to do V-stitches, but these ones are called double crochet V-stitches, where they don't have the chains in the middle, all right? Or at the end at that matter. So it's yarn over your hook in the same stitch you are in, crocheting over your tail a little bit, popping your hook in, pull a loop through, and doing a normal double crochet. All right, so there was no extra chain. Just grab your tail, passing it at the back at the moment, and what you're going to do is do what we call double crochet V-stitch into each stitch across. All right, so straight into the very next stitch, you're putting 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. All right, and then straight into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. All right, super easy, super easy. All right, you're going to do the 2 double crochets in each stitch for another 3 stitches, and off we go. This is your first and second double crochet in your, we'll put it this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 is what we need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're putting a double crochet V-stitch in your 5th stitch. No chaining, just your double crochets. Yeah, and double crochet V-stitch in your 6th stitch. So what you should have here is 6 sets of double crochet V-stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, or 12 double crochets across. All right, so now we're going to continue. Once again, we are going to flip our work. Yeah, so flip your work the way you want to, or turn your work the way you want to. Chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Hold it there. You are placing your stitch marker in the top of that chain 3 right there. But now what you're doing is you're doing a 4th chain, and in between your double crochet V-stitch, or right in between your 2 double crochets, you're placing a double crochet like that. All right, and now you're skipping these 2 double crochets here, and you're jumping in between your next double crochet V-stitch. These are the sets that we did before, yeah? Right in that center, you're putting a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. So let me just explain. This row were sets of double crochet V-stitches. This row are sets of V-stitches, just your basic V-stitch. All right, so you're skipping your 2, your 1 that belongs here and your 1 that belongs in the next stitch, and then you're popping your V-stitch in between your double crochet V-stitch. And that's a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. All right, I'm just giving you the terminology So you're skipping those two, jumping in between, so that you understand the terminology as well as understanding the pattern. All right. Once again, you're skipping your 2 and you're into the V with a normal V stitch. Your normal V stitch is a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. All right. The other one in that previous row is called a double crochet V stitch. All right. Now in this last set, as you are skipping these two, and you've got your 2 separate double crochets at the end, you're popping a double crochet in the space, chain 1, but your V stitch, the closing of your V stitch, is your double crochet is not going in that stitch. It's going into the top of your stitch marker stitch, that tight stitch that I just had trouble getting into. If you have trouble, just take out your stitch marker and do it the other way. Don't you love it? All right, so how many rows have we done? Not rounds, 1 and 2. All right, so we're now up to round 3. Turn your work. You're going to like round 3 because we're going to 1, 2, and 3. Pop your stitch marker in the top of that stitch, and you're going to repeat that round that we just did, chain 1, but you're putting your first double crochet in that space right there. Yeah. So the chain 3 and the 1 up the top and your double crochet classifies it as double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So that's actually 1 V stitch. Then you're just going to jump into every V stitch all the way across and do a V. So there's your first, that's your first. There's your second V stitch, pop your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that V stitch. It's super easy. And continue that all the way across, doing your V stitch inside all your V stitches. Get excited, guys. We're almost nearing the end. Into the next V stitch. Believe it or not, a couple of rows to go. I know, right? Hard to imagine. Anyway, V stitch into your very next V stitch. Now this is our second last. If I'm going too fast for you, just pause here and do your V stitches across, and that's in every V stitch that you come to. So it's every space you come to, you're popping your V stitches in there. All right. Now for the last V stitch, you start your V stitch by putting a double crochet in there. Do it right the first time, Mary. And chain 1, and your next double crochet doesn't go in the V stitch, but in the chain, the tight chain right there. All right, super easy. All right, taking out your stitch marker. Okay. And so far, that's what you have. If you were going to turn your little angel upside down, you'll start to see that it's almost complete. We have a couple of more rows before this is done. All right, so that's where we ended off. So what I want you to do now is to repeat this round. Let's try row one more time. So repeat that row one more time. Meet me back here and we'll talk about doing our last 2 finishing rows. All right, so do one more row of this one here and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty, so you completed that extra row. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows from the base of your wings. Yep, well you should have completed 4 rows altogether. Now we are going to do the next 2 rows will be our closing up rows. Get excited, guys. I'm just trying to get my thread. It's all tangled, but you don't need to know my problems. First world problems. All right. So you were here. Turn your work. And now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Once again, you are placing your stitch marker. Now this row is going to change completely. And the same with the next row. First thing you need to do here is in that space, oh no, we'll take that undone. In that space there, we're placing a treble crochet. And a treble, usually with a double, we put the yarn over our hook once. With a treble, we put the yarn over our hook twice. So once and twice. So you've got 2 loops on your hook. And now you place the hook in the space you are in, pull a loop through. 4 loops on your hook here. Yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2 loops, 3 loops left, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops left, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And there you go. So yarn over your hook. In the same space, you're putting a double crochet. And you know that one. Now I've got a knot on my work, but I'm not worried about it because this is coming undone. I'm not keeping this angel. So now what we're going to do, in every space that we come to, you know how we did our V-stitches? In every V-stitch that we come to, we are placing a set of 1 double crochet, 1 treble, and 1 double crochet. All right, I call it a cluster set for this pattern. So yarn over your hook, and in your V-stitch space, you're doing 1 double crochet, like so. 1 treble, yarn over your hook twice, into the space, pull a loop through, 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and now a double crochet. All right, that is your pattern all the way across. Double in your next space, treble, big tall stitch there, and a double. All right, super easy. That is your sets, I should say, your cluster sets all the way across. We have 1, 2, and don't do the last one because we're going to do the last one together. All right, so do 2 more cluster sets, and off we go. All right, in the last space, you're going to do what you did here. You're going to place your double in the space, treble in the space, but your last double doesn't go in the space, it goes in the top or into the stitch with your stitch marker, in your top chain or the stitch of your stitch marker, which is completely and utterly tight. I'm going to take mine undone. It's really tugging. So place your last double in that final stitch right there, and there's your 2 loops. Yep, like so. So what you have now initially is that. Yeah, get excited. I don't know why I showed you, because we're going to continue. This row here is going to change completely. Again, you're going to turn your work, but this time you're going to chain 1, and in the same space, or same stitch I should say, that you are in, you are doing what we call a single crochet. So no yarn over your hook, just pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. You don't need a stitch marker here because this is our final row. Get excited, yeah? In the very next stitch, which is your treble from the previous round, you're going to do what we call a picot. Now, if you are new to crochet and you can't do picots or you find them troubling, all I want you to do is pop a single crochet in there like so, chaining your 1, 2, 3, and then another single crochet. This is only if you are new to crochet, all right? But for the rest of us, we're going to do what we call a picot on all our treble stitches in this row. So you've done your first single crochet on the treble stitch. Now you're going to chain 1, 2, and 3. And to do a picot, you want to pop your hook down that side. Let me get a close-up, a better close-up. Right there. You want to pop your hook down the side loop there. It's actually the top loop of your single crochet and the side base loop. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. That can be a little tricky if you are new. That's your picot. In the same stitch, you're putting another single crochet. All right, so your picot should kind of look like that. Again, we're going to do it again a few times so you can see it again. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches, so single in the first one. You know how to do those now, like so. Single into your next one. You're doing your next picot in that treble stitch. Pop your hook in the stitch and do your single crochet first, like so. Chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and pop your hook down the top of that loop of your single crochet, and the side loop or base loop of the stitch, pull a loop through like so and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Single in the same space. Again, if you are new and you can't do this stitch or you're struggling with it, single crochet, chain 3 and single crochet all in the same stitch for you. All right, but for the rest of us, we are doing, well, everyone is doing 2 single crochets, 1 in each stitch across, like so, and then your picot in the next. All right, I'm hoping that that all made sense. Again, you can rewatch that part, but we are now doing our picot, 1, 2 and 3 down the back top loop there and your base loop there. Pull a loop through and through, single again in the same stitch. A single each of the next 2, all right, and a picot into your next. 1, 2, 3, top loop and side base loop, pull a loop through and through to the loop on your hook, single in the next. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast, and what I want you to do is to continue that all the way across and do your final picot in your second last stitch and wait for me there. We might actually do that final picot together. All right, in the meantime, off we go. Okay, so we should have just waited here. It wasn't that far off. Single into your treble stitch, chain 1, 2, 3, complete your picot, like so. Single into the same stitch. And finally, popping your single into the stitch. Get excited, guys, because this is the last stitch, with your stitch marker. So single into there, taking out your stitch marker, pull up a loop and cut your work. Now I'm not going to cut my work because I'm going to use this yarn for something else, but flip your, oh, you don't have to flip yours will be on the right side because I redid this part here for you. Your last row should have ended up on the right side of your work. All right, mine ended up on the wrong side, but I fixed that up from the beginning later, so you won't see it happening throughout this tutorial. I made a mistake around here, but you won't see that because I'm going to repair that. Yeah. All right, so there you go. Your angel is now complete. Cut your work, your threads. You can either weave them in if you're not going to pop them on a wreath or anything, if it's just going to be like that. Otherwise, wait until tomorrow where we will be putting all of our projects that we've been creating throughout the whole year onto our wreath. Get way too excited. All right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Do all the wonderful things that you guys pretty much already do for me. Join us tomorrow where we will attach all our projects, our finished projects, to our wreath. And don't forget to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. I've been Mary. This is Wow Crochet Designs, and ciao for now.